front row.
Hi, Emma and Tom, both of your characters are pretty obsessed with this book and this character, and I was wondering, in your own lives, is there something that you have just either wanted to do as an actor, or you're just obsessed with the book and the character, you love it, and hope maybe to produce it, or something like that, or just love it? Is there somebody like that?
Well, just off the top of my head, which is probably the best place to start. For me as a child, it was always Sherlock Holmes, with whom I was deeply in love, and who I wanted really to be. But that's the problem, isn't it, if you're a female? That a lot of the heroic models are, in fact, male. So, you know, one of my first questions to everybody as I was getting older is, who's the female hero? Who is she? What does she do? What does she actually do? So, anyway, yeah.
I always wanted to play Lestrade of Scotland Yard. Just because he's kind of a buffoon but gets to wear a uniform, and I thought, well, that would be fun, so maybe we got some.
Hi, Mr. Hanks, it must have occurred to you this is your second saving movie, and you're a funny guy. Did you have any thoughts on that, and will you do a third saving movie?
I like to think of it as a trilogy. There's got to be some era of history that we can explore. It seems to be moving forward. I'd like to play Saving John DeLorean. I have no idea. That's it. John DeLorean invented the car. Okay, never mind. I got nothing. I did my best.
In the front row on the right.
This is a movie about words, but one of my favorite things with an actor is watch them when they have a scene that doesn't have dialogue. In Love Actually, in this, you have two memorable scenes where you have no dialogue. Is that harder on you because there's no words to fall back on, or is it easier for you to sort of get those emotions across because you don't have to worry about the words?
Oh, scenes without words are bliss to do. Reacting scenes are wonderful to do. I think we'd all feel the same way about that. I mean, not because one is frightened of words or learning words or using words, of course not, but just because there's a different kind of... You're not so active somehow. Yes, it's not even that you're passive, but you're just responding, and that's the scene that you're talking about at the end. John, we didn't know how to do that quite, because it is quite she's having a huge reaction. I mean, huge, it's like an elemental reaction she's never had before in her life. So, what was interesting to me about it was the thing that made it work was the clips from Mary Poppins. That's what did it. And so that's what I was responding to.
You know what was fascinating about that, though? Because I remember that day, obviously, very clearly, in the Chinese theater, and we were talking about it and how this would progress in a number of cameras, and you told me, I'm not sure where the bridge will be built, but once I know, I can cross it again and again. And I thought that was just fascinating, because I'm not an actor, but to witness that in terms of, I'm not sure where that's going to be or how it's going to happen, but once I know how the bricks lay and how we cross the river, I can go there again and again, and she did, which was amazing.
I've forgotten that. Yeah, I've just forgotten that. That's so interesting. Gosh.
Yeah.
Who knew?
In the back.
Oh, right here. I have a question for Tom Hanks. You have two grandchildren right here in the back.
Yes.
You have two grandchildren.
Yes.
And that is the Mr. Banks side of you that we don't know. So do you take them to Disneyland, for example? What is like to be Tom Hanks as a grandfather?
We did go. I have taken them to Disneyland on the day that we shot in Disneyland. They came, and an interesting thing happens as a grandparent. You see no reason whatsoever that your granddaughter shouldn't be delighted to take a ride on the Winnie the Pooh adventure. It's Winnie the Pooh, it's fun, it's Pooh Bear, it's Kangaroo and Owl, it's Christopher Robin. It's going to be a blast. She's going to remember this the rest of her life, her ride on Winnie the Pooh's great adventure. My granddaughter was terrified by the noise, the big spinning bears. She is now be haunted for the rest of her days by this first image of Winnie the Pooh in a loud, short, herky-jerky ride that her grandfather forced her to do on the day he played Walt Disney in Disneyland. That is just a sample of the fantastic job I do as a grandparent. Thank you.
In the front row on the right.
First of all, I want to congratulate all of you. The film is, to paraphrase Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. Now, along the same Disneyland vein, John Lee, Allison, for only the third time in history, a film has been shot partially in Disneyland. What kind of challenges did that face? And how do the rest of you feel about the opportunity to do something as iconic as that is rarely done, and then also shutting down the Chinese and part of Hollywood Boulevard for another major sequence?
We were very prepared for Disneyland, kind of military precision. They were very helpful down there. We knew when we could come in before it opened, and we knew at 9:17 we needed to be on Main Street and here by there, and we carefully went down there and scouted it many, many times with lenses, because if you would, pan this far over here, it would be something from 1981, pan to the left, and it's 1969. So trying to solve those problems without spending money. And being there on Main Street before the park opened, and the sun is just coming up, and everybody's moving stuff around. And I remember a moment there where you're so worried and prepared for the day, and you've got that ahead of you. Are we going to do it? We're going to get everything done. But then there was just that moment with the sun coming up. I thought, damn, this is cool. I got a great job. And then I looked over, and there was Tom sitting there, and I go, this is Walt Disney? It's all too great. So it was fantastic.
In the front row here in the center.
Hello. So, my question is, obviously, Mary Poppins meant a lot to Walt Disney. I'm curious to know, for everyone on the panel, what did Mary Poppins mean to you before making this film?
Jason Sport.
Yeah. Well, it meant a lot to me, this movie, growing up. I saw it a lot of times, and in fact, I knew most all the songs from the movie. In fact, that's what I remembered the most, I think. It's funny just how much, when you're a little, movie and things can affect you. And when I got the part of the movie and I started looking through archives and photos, and you'd see all these behind the scenes snapshots of the movie being made, and it was only then that it occurred to me that it was shot in Burbank, because I experienced it as a young person thinking it was in England, and it was only recently that I realized that it was all made up. That's how deep into my body it had gone, and how much I believed that it was all real. And in many ways, I wish I hadn't ever seen those photos. You know what I mean? You don't want to see Jaws. How, Jaws is there's photos of guys smoking cigarettes by Jaws. I wish I had never seen those photos. And I wish I had never seen them, Cherry Tree Lane on Burbank Boulevard. Because it's deep in my, so it means a lot to me, this movie. I loved it very much.
We talked last night about this because I thought I had seen Mary Poppins. I knew all the songs, I knew the characters, I had absorbed it without ever having seen it. I didn't realize that till we all went to your house and watched it, and I realized there were so many scenes and complicated and dark shadings and directions that I had never associated with that film. The film itself is so much odder than we remember, and so much more complicated, let alone the story of the film when you know the context of it. So it was something for me, and we talked about this, all these Disney films, they feel like they're in your DNA. Growing up, these songs, the Sherman Brothers songs especially, you just feel they just came from heaven fully formed. It's so interesting to see that we went to the archives and saw drafts with different lyrics and different script pages, and it's so odd to think that this ever could have been any different, and that was so interesting about making this movie, seeing all the drafts, let alone the scenes that I had never even known were there.